Hi everyone, this is Cooking with Kurt. Today, my husband Donald and I are going to show you how to make an Ube Custard Cake. Multiple layers of coconut Leche Flan, Ube Chiffon, and sweet cream are covered with a delicious ube frosting.
The cake combines two iconic Filipino desserts. This recipe was requested by a lot of you. Thanks so much for your requests, and we hope you like this video.
Because Leche Flan needs to be refrigerated before layering, we recommend making this cake over 2 days. On day 1, we're going to make the coconut Leche Flan layers. Take 2 9-inch round springform pans and wrap the bottom and sides of each springform pan with a single large piece of aluminum foil. The foil should go all the way up the sides, and make sure there are no holes or gaps so that water cannot leak through. It will also minimize the amount of flan liquid that leaks out. We're only making the custard part of the Leche Flan and not the caramel top, so it's really important to use springform pans for this recipe. Otherwise, getting the custard out of the pan will be really difficult, as a strong vacuum seal is created at the bottom.
Trust us, we tried. It's impossible without cutting into the custard to break the vacuum.
That was a really tough day of recipe testing. Next, in a large bowl, add in 8 room temperature eggs, 14 ounces of unsweetened coconut cream, which is 1 can, and 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk, which is 1 can. Whisk these together very well until they are completely combined and the mixture is smooth. Then add in 12 fluid ounces of evaporated milk, which is 1 can, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Carefully whisk these together until the mixture is smooth. Try not to stir it too vigorously to avoid air bubbles from forming. We don't use an electric mixer or a stand mixer for this to avoid beating too much air into the liquid. Pour this mixture through a strainer to remove any remaining lumps into the 2 prepared 9-inch round springform pans, dividing the mixture equally between the 2 pans. Gently tap the pans on the counter to release any remaining air bubbles in the custard. Place oven racks in the lower and upper third positions and preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. When your oven has reached this temperature, place each of the round springform pans with your Leche Flan in the center of large roasting dishes, 1 springform pan per 1 roasting dish. Place the first roasting dish on the lower rack with the rack pulled out of it. Pour boiling water in the roasting dish so that it goes about ½ an inch high, creating a water bath for the flan. Very carefully, so water doesn't slosh around, push the lower rack into the oven. Repeat these steps with the second roasting dish on the upper rack. Close the oven door. Pouring the boiling water while the roasting dish is already in the oven will avoid having to carry the heavy dish with boiling water inside it. Bake these in the preheated oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes, or until the center of the custards are just set. It's okay if the centers are still a bit jiggly, as they will firm up as they cool to room temperature. Remove the round pans from their respective water baths and remove the foil shell. You'll notice that a little bit of the custard may have leaked out of the springform pan, and that's okay. Allow them to cool to room temperature on metal racks. When they reach room temperature, cover the top with plastic wrap, then chill them in the fridge overnight.
On the second day of making this cake, start by taking 8 eggs, separate them into yolks and whites, and let them come to room temperature. With your oven racks in the upper and lower third position, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Then take 2 jelly roll pans, which are 10.5 by 15.5 inches, and line the bottoms with parchment paper. No need to grease the parchment paper or the sides of the pans. Take a large mixing bowl and sieve, add in 2 1/4 cups of cake flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, ½ cup of granulated sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Sift these together. Add in the 8 room temperature egg yolks, half a cup of vegetable oil, 3/4 cup of water, half a cup ube halaya, 1 tablespoon of ube extract, and 1 teaspoon of gel purple food coloring. Beat this with an electric mixer or by hand just until smooth and well blended. In the bowl of your stand mixer, add in the 8 room temperature egg whites and 1 teaspoon cream tartar. With the whisk attachment, beat on medium-high speed until the mixture looks frothy. When the mixture looks frothy, very slowly add in 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. When all the sugar has been added, turn up the mixer to high speed and continue beating until stiff, glossy peaks are formed. It should look something like this. 1/3 at a time, very gently fold this meringue into the cake mixture until they're well combined and the mixture is uniform. Make sure you scrape down the sides and the bottom of the bowl for any unmixed batter. Divide this resulting batter equally into the 2 prepared jelly roll pans and smoothen the top surfaces with an offset spatula as much as possible. We're going to bake these in our preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes, or until the top surface springs back when touched lightly at the center. Cool the sheet cakes in the pans, sitting on metal racks to cool faster. While the cakes are cooling, we're going to prepare the vanilla cream frosting. In the clean bowl of your stand mixer, add in 8 ounces of cold cream cheese, half a cup of granulated sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. With the paddle attachment, mix these on medium speed until the cream cheese has softened and the mixture looks smooth. Stop the mixer and add in 2 cups of very cold heavy cream. Continue mixing on medium speed for about 2 minutes until the cream cheese and the heavy cream are well combined. Stop the mixer and scrape down the bowl as needed. Then switch to the whisk attachment and continue beating on medium-high speed until the mixture is thick and billowy. When you get the right consistency, stop whipping. It should look something like this. Let the vanilla cream frosting rest in the fridge till you're ready to use it. When the ube chiffon cakes have completely cooled, the sides should have pulled away from the pans, and the cake should slip off the pans very easily when inverted. Place a large piece of parchment paper over each pan and invert the cakes onto the rectangles of parchment paper on a flat surface so that the cakes are upside down. And immediately peel off the parchment paper that was lining the bottom of the pan. Each sheet will make 1.5 cake rounds. Then use a 9-inch cake ring to make 1 full cake round and another half cake round on each cake sheet. There should be some leftover cake to fill in the gaps when necessary. The 2 full rounds will be the top 2 cake layers. The 2 half rounds will be put together to make the bottom layer. The scraps can be used to fill in empty spaces as needed.
At this point, we're ready to start assembling the cake. Take the 2 coconut flans out of the fridge. With the knife slightly angled towards the pan, to minimize breaking the flan, glide a thin knife around the edges of each flan, applying pressure against the side of the pan to avoid damaging the flan, to break the vacuum on the sides between the pan and the flan. Do this for both flans. Take the 2 half ube chiffon rounds and place them together on the top of one of the flans to form the opposite sides of the bottom layer of cake. If needed, use the leftover scraps of ube cake to fill in gaps between the partial rounds or any uneven spaces so that the bottom layer is as flat and circular as possible. When the ube chiffon layer is in place and flush with the sides of the springform pan, carefully remove the sides of the springform pan to reveal the flan and chiffon layers. Take a cake board that's greater than 9 inches in diameter, I'm using a 10-inch cake board, and place it on the ube chiffon layer, centering it as much as possible. Quickly invert the flan and ube layers onto the cake board so that the flan is on top. Use a sharp knife to break the seal between the bottom of the springform pan and the flan, and carefully lift off the bottom of the springform pan. Take an acetate sheet that's 30 inches long and 4 inches high, and place it around this ube and custard layer, so that it's the same circumference as the two layers. Hold the acetate sheet together using freezer-resistant tape. Acetate sheets usually come with stickers, and I'm using the sticker that came with the acetate sheet. Make sure the acetate sheet is perpendicular to the bottom surface and not tapering in or widening out towards the top. Using the back of a small spoon, spread 1½ cups of the vanilla frosting in an even layer on top of the first custard layer. Make sure you get it all the way to the edges, touching the acetate sheet, moving in a figure 8 or circular motion to make it as flat and even as possible. Take the second coconut custard round and place one of the full Ube Chiffon rounds on top of the custard. When the Ube Chiffon layer is in place and flush with the sides of the springform pan, carefully remove the sides of the springform pan to reveal the flan and chiffon layers. Place a cake board or any flat surface, I'm using a chopping board, on top of the Ube Chiffon layer, and quickly invert the flan and ube layers onto the chopping board so the flan is on top. Again, use a sharp knife to unmold the flan from the bottom of the springform pan and lift it off. Place the ube and custard layers on top of the vanilla frosting layer. Using the back of a small spoon, spread 1½ cups of the vanilla frosting in an even layer on top of the custard layer. Make sure you get it all the way to the edges touching the acetate sheet, moving in a figure 8 or circular motion to make it as flat and even as possible. Place the third and final full Ube Chiffon round on top of the vanilla frosting layer.
At this point, you can eat the leftover scraps of Ube Chiffon. Yum!
So good. Put this assembled cake in the freezer for about 30 minutes for the layers to firm up. Then, attach a large open star tip, I'm using a number 1M, to a piping bag, and transfer the remaining vanilla frosting into the piping bag. Store this leftover vanilla frosting in the fridge for now. While the cake layers are firming up in the freezer, we're going to work on the ube frosting. In the clean bowl of your stand mixer, add in 8 ounces of cold cream cheese and ½ a cup of granulated sugar. With the paddle attachment, mix on medium speed until the cream cheese has softened and the mixture looks smooth. Stop the mixer and add in 2 cups of very cold heavy cream and 1 tablespoon of ube extract. Continue mixing on medium speed for about 2 minutes until the cream cheese and heavy cream are combined. Stop the mixer and scrape down the bowl as needed. Then switch to the whisk attachment and continue beating on medium-high speed until the mixture is thick and billowy. When you get the right consistency, stop whipping. Store this in the fridge till you're ready to use it. When the cake layers have firmed up in the freezer for 30 minutes, take the cake out of the freezer, remove the sticker, and peel off the acetate sheet to reveal the layers of cake. Place the cake board on a revolving cake stand and apply a layer of the ube frosting on the top surface and the sides of the cake. Smooth it out as much as possible using a bench scraper or offset spatula. Clean up frosting from the base as needed. Rest the cake and the remaining ube frosting in the fridge for about 1 hour for the crumb coat to firm up. Attach a small petal tip, I'm using a number 104, to a piping bag and transfer the remaining ube frosting into the piping bag. Holding the wide end of the tip against the side of the cake with the tip opening pointing down and perpendicular to the side of the cake, create a pattern on the sides of the cake by piping wavy lines on the base of the cake to the top. Make sure to keep the tip against and touching the cake so the ruffles stick, and keep a strong and even pressure on the bag for the entire length from bottom to top. Then stop squeezing when you get to the top and drag the tip into the cake. Do this all around the entire cake to create a vertical ruffle pattern on the sides of the cake. That looks so pretty. Finally, I'm using an offset spatula to flatten the tops of the ruffles so that they're flush with the cake's top surface. We're done with the ube frosting. Take the leftover vanilla frosting we had set aside earlier. This is the piping bag with a number 1M tip attached to it. I'm creating a simple shell border around the top circumference of the cake by holding the tip at a 45-degree angle and squeezing, then dragging while releasing, making overlapping shells while turning the rotating cake stand. Do this around the entire top circumference of the cake. Refrigerate the cake overnight for all the layers to set, and keep the cake in the fridge till you're ready to serve. And there it is, Ube Custard Cake. Ube Chiffon and Leche Flan layered with vanilla cream and covered in a light ube frosting. Ang sarap!
Yum!
The ube flavor goes so well with the coconut custard.
It's always so hard to choose between ube and leche flan, and with this cake you can have both. You can have your cake and eat it too.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let us know in the comment section below if you're planning to make this ube custard cake. Send us pictures of your creations on Facebook and Instagram. The links are below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Cooking with Kurt.
And don't forget to click on the bell so you get notified when we post new cooking videos. And for our written recipes, check out cookingwithkurt.com.
Maraming salamat!